Week 15 just finished up and I went a spectacular 12-4 on my predictions, so hopefully I can have another good week this time around. Let's get on to week 16, where we'll be starting with the Broncos at the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. After the Chargers got 40 points dropped on them by Tampa Bay, I actually think the Broncos are the better team now. But for whatever reason, I feel like the Chargers are going to take this one. Maybe that's partially because they destroyed the Broncos earlier in the year, despite a late comeback effort. But I just have a feeling this one's going to go to LA, so I'm going to take the Chargers 24-20. Now for the Texans at the Chiefs, and this is an interesting one because of the Mahomes injury. I think even if Patrick Mahomes is playing through injury, if he's on the field, the Chiefs should win. Now if their backup Carson Wentz is playing, that could swing things, but honestly I think even if Wentz is starting for the Chiefs, I think they win this one. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one, 22-17. Now for the Steelers at the Ravens, and this is a tough one. Personally, I think the Ravens are the better team, but the Steelers seem to have the Ravens' number, and they already beat Baltimore earlier in the year. But that can also go both ways. I would be very surprised if the Steelers can beat the Ravens twice. I could be wrong on this one, but I think the Ravens are going to win this time around, 27-24. Now for the Giants at the Falcons. And the Falcons nearly falconed against the Raiders last week, and maybe they would have finished the choke if they weren't playing against the worst team in the league. And lucky them, they get to play against the next worst team in the league. I think the Falcons take care of business 20-13. Now for the Lions at the Bears, and the Bears played the Lions tough the first time they met this year, but yeah, the Bears look really pathetic as of late. I have a hard time seeing this one be close as well. Despite the loss to Buffalo, the Lions' offense has been on fire as of late, and I think they're going to win this one 33-17. Now for the Cardinals at the Panthers, and I actually thought about taking the Panthers in this one. I remember a few years back when the Cardinals made the playoffs, they got upset by the Panthers, so I'm wondering if history could repeat itself. However, I do think the Cardinals are going to take this one 28-20. Now for the Rams at the Jets. The Rams are nothing special whatsoever, but those lucky bastards get to beat up on one of the worst teams in the league. Because the Rams are so unimpressive, I could still see this game being close. But I do think LA will end up taking this one 27-20. Now we have the Eagles at the Commanders. And it's crazy to think that a few weeks into the season it was looking like the Commanders were the top dogs in the NFC East. But now I think the Eagles are going to complete the season sweep of the Commanders. Washington is a decent team, so they could get an upset here, but I think Philly takes it 28-21. And now for the Browns at the Bengals. The Bengals always seem to have trouble beating the Browns, but for whatever reason I don't think that'll be the case in this game. I could be very wrong on that, but I'm going to take Cincinnati in this one 31-23. Now we have the Titans at the Colts. And while the Colts are still technically fighting for a playoff spot, they're not a very good team. The Titans aren't good either, so I think the Colts will win, but it won't really mean anything. I'm going to take Indy in a 20-17 snoozer. Now for the Vikings at the Seahawks. I don't think the Seahawks played quite as bad against Green Bay as the final score would indicate, but they still got their asses kicked. Although it is important to note Geno Smith got hurt and Sam Howell completely shit his pants. And now we have to play one of the best teams in the league in Minnesota, possibly without our starting quarterback. It must be nice having an easy schedule to close out the year while lucky factors out of your control benefit you left and right. Unfortunately, the Seahawks have no such luxuries. I think the Vikings take this one 27-13, assuming it's Sam Howell playing. I think if Geno's on the field, it'll be a bit closer. Next up, we have the Patriots at the Bills. And there's not a lot to go over here. Drake May has looked good this season, but that's about where the positives end for New England. And going against one of the best teams in the league, I think the Bills win this one handedly. I'll take Buffalo 30-17. Now we have the Jaguars at the Raiders. Last week I said the Jets would win because they're slightly less shitty than the Jaguars, and it's kind of the same story for this game. I think it'll be the Jaguars that win this one because they're slightly less shitty than the Raiders. I'm taking Jacksonville to win on the road 23-20. And now for the 49ers at the Dolphins. And of course the 49ers have to turn into the most atrocious, pathetic trash heap of a team imaginable the one time I actually want them to win. I don't want to hear any excuses about injuries. They still have George Kittle and Jawan Jennings on offense, and the 49ers could quite literally take any random homeless crackhead off the side of the street, which there's plenty of in San Francisco, and they could be a productive running back in that system. There's no excuse to be putting up 6 points in your home stadium on prime time against a mediocre opponent like the Rams. With that said, however, I feel like I don't even really have to talk about the Dolphins here. After the 49ers completely shit their pants the one time I was rooting for them, I just know that they're going to turn around and win a game that means absolutely nothing just to spite me. I'm going to take the 49ers to win on the road 23-20. And on Sunday Night Football, we have the Buccaneers at the Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't been quite as much of a joke in recent weeks, but there's still nothing special. And with the Buccaneers coming off a game where they dropped 40 points on a very solid Chargers team, I think this pick's a no-brainer. I'm picking Tampa in this one 27-20. And finally, on Monday Night Football, we have the Saints at the Packers. And I don't know how this game got a primetime slot over Ravens Steelers or Eagles Commanders. There's not much to write home about with the Saints, especially without Derek Carr. Meanwhile, the Packers are looking like one of the best teams in the league despite being third in their own division. Pretty easy choice, I'm going with Green Bay 30-13. And there's all my picks. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe.